everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Good Guy Roadhouse. I am Lichhunter, and I'm back here with Bailey Reed, and today we are talking elves. So Bailey, get us started. What do you think of when you think of an elf?
I think of J.R.R. Tolkien. That was my inspiration for elves. That's the way I played elves, and that's the way I've seen a lot of other people play elves.
Yeah, I think Tolkien too. And when you think of a Tolkien elf, let's play a little of that psychiatric game. What comes to mind?
What comes to mind? Well, I think sort of a natural affinity for what's termed magic in campaigns, a natural affinity for the outdoors, for woods. You think of them in Lothlorien, you think of Thranduil in Northern Mirkwood. So those sorts of, and that, of course, that translates into rangers, magic users, fighters. I've never played an elven cleric, and actually I've never really seen one played. Don't seem to go together.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, my first character ever, back Xenopus's Tower,
right.
Alfredo the elf.
Alfredo, very Tolkien-esque.
There's something, I hadn't even read Tolkien yet when I first played D&D. I actually read Tolkien because I was playing D&D.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen it go as low as Herbie the Dentist from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, that's an interpretation I've never really seen played much.
I think the gnome kind of takes over for the Herbie the Dentist role.
There's plenty of the small creatures to take over there.
And when I was another thing, I really liked kind of small. Naturally when you're a kid, you're growing up.
Right.
I like to play hobbits.
Hobbits, the halfling.
The halfling was my favorite, and so I was.
Well, I think you touch on something there. I think halflings are just they're kind of easier to relate to. I mean, I think another thing about playing elves, if you really try to get in the mindset, is it's difficult. I mean, it's to me it's not as easy to take on kind of that persona. At least, again, if you're under the influence of elves from folklore, from mythology, from Tolkien.
I had a tendency to play half-elves more than elves, which was just a touch of the elf, but I'm well-grounded and I know what a human is all about.
Exactly.
Campaigns to be run, because everybody wanted to be half-elves back in the day, and the question was always, the joke question was your mother or father was an elf? And so whatever you answered, they'd say, wrong, can't be a half-elf. World of Atlas, actually, we've got a lore behind that where all half-elves are cursed with chaos. So you can't be a half-elf in the World of Atlas either. Yeah. But it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't like half-elves. That lore in the World of Atlas is just part of the world.
Yeah, right.
Another thing, elven magic, when Aragorn, after the Battle of Weathertop, and he has Frodo, and he's got the Atlas, and he's
King's Foil.
The King's Foil. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a weed. He's unable to cure himself. He needs elf magic, and I've always liked that idea of elf magic being a little bit different. But in most gaming campaigns and stuff, it's all just a form of human wizard magic is what elves tend to use. Have you seen anything different besides just kind of elves with maybe, if you talk about Skyrim, they just have higher natural abilities, but it's the same old spells.
Right.
So
in other words, it's everyone is using the same magic. It's just how good are you at using that magic, and that's pretty much what I've seen. I have not seen, a really thoughtful, sustained attempt to figure out, what is this. This magic would be different because they're elves as opposed to the magic that humans practice, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, it's going to be a whole lot of work to come up with different systems of magic based on, are you an elf? Are you a human? I mean, et cetera, et cetera. But I haven't really seen that.
Yeah, and that's so. Bailey's worked with me a lot on kind of what a reimagining of elves and what we're going to be doing at the World of Atlas with their magic. And if we want to talk a little bit about what's going on there, is we call them Aetheries. Aetheries, you know, I think it's the Quenya word for power, and and a theory is a full understanding of something, and that's kind of where elven magic. You have all this length of life, so to really just kind of master something, and so you know, an elf might be, you know, have a bow theory and they learn it, or a healing theory, and those would be very practical applications to a D&D setting. But they also have those that are not very practical to a D&D setting, like farming or flowers. Say, you know, where you can go talk to an elf that just knows everything about flowers, and that's where all the magic and all the power comes from, but not necessarily so much in the combat-oriented theory, and kind of that I like that as a template, and for thinking about how elven magic can be different than what
casting a spell,
you know, that everybody can just go learn. All the matter of, you know, casting fireball or casting dispel magic is just finding that scroll, learning it, and casting. That's not how we're imagining this with the World of Atlas magic for Elves and the theories.
Well, and that's what I like about that, is that it does take into account you know, something that I know we're kind of coming to. I mean, we've touched on it here. I mean, elves live a long time, and you know, I mean, they have time to thoroughly understand things like farming or the bow, or
except for being a fighter, because unless they have 17, 18 strength, they can't get past 7th level.
And I do remember being taken aback the first time I opened up the player's handbook, and I saw those. Even back then, young as I was, those just seemed completely arbitrary and almost like complete nonsense. I mean,
well, you know what's driving that is game balance. You know, balance. It's like you've got these characters that are immune to charm. They don't and sleep spells, and they're +1 with bows and long swords, and that's. They see in the dark, and you know
they've got all these. And I just think that, and that's why I think what what you're doing with World of Atlas and the theories is an attempt to keep game balance, but come at it in a thoughtful way of like, well, because if you have elves, you have something, you have a type of being that's immortal. I mean, it just lives a long time, and you've got to think about what does that do in terms of my game balance. I mean,
and our resident power gamers, you know, when we were talking with them about elves, it's like, you know, if you don't have any constraint on it, well, why would anybody want to play anything else?
I just, to me, I mean, it's almost like the thoughtful approach of the theory is an attempt to take account of those very, very long lives, immortal lives of elves, and the fact that they have time to, fully dive into whatever it might be, whether it's the bow, whether it's farming, whether any aspect of the world, they have time to fully understand it, all the nuances, and it's almost like the magic that humans practice. I mean, however you imagine it, if they're manipulating some sort of essence or whatever. To me, that's a shortcut that they're taking to some of the coarser aspects of the power aspects of anything, but not getting into the fine nuance of it that elves can. And of course, I think what that means is that ultimately the elvish understanding of power and how to use it, whether it be the power of the earth that they're farming, the bow that they're shooting, is just going to be in the long run deeper and better.
Can be, and many of the characters we envision for the World of Atlas are the most powerful ones are the elves that have very powerful imagined theories. We have Tanduin and Hwelen, who has the rune-based theory, so that she understands everything about runes.
Right.
And we have Finmore in Asperator, who has the creation of theory, who knows everything about how to create stuff. He's kind of patterned after Feanor, the maker of the Silmarils, you know, and so yeah, so you can have extremely powerful characters. And one of the ways that one of the things I really liked that came out of this thought is how to handle Drow. And Drow are different. You know, as we talked about, you know, never really saw the cleric for a Drow, but I mean, for an elf, but for a Drow, cleric is
you see it all the time.
Yeah, it's hand in hand, and with kind of this rebellion against the elven ways, where no, we're gonna. I mean, these humans might be on to something. They've got this, and we're immortal, and we can do all these quick spells, and we can learn it. We're immortal. We're going to learn all this power. We're not going to focus on just understanding. We're going to focus on becoming more powerful.
Right.
And we're just going to soak up all the ways that you can cast damage dealing spells or mind affecting spells.
And that's I mean, that, again, that's a. I like that, and you encounter that a lot in good, you know, good fantasy fiction. You know, how often have we seen I mean, you know, even to something like Star Wars, where you know the villains take the quick path.
That's perfect.
They go right for the power.
Is the dark way more stronger?
They go right for the power.
Quicker.
Exactly. You know, and whereas the good guys maybe take the.
God, I hadn't even thought of that. We are doing Star Wars with our elves, aren't we?
You know, Star Wars.
Jedi elves
versus evil. I mean, you Lord of the Rings. I mean, you know, there's that. You know, I mean, you know, Saruman departs from the path of wisdom. You know, he had been like Gandalf. I mean, you know, think about Gandalf. I mean, rarely does he really show his power. Mainly his thing is just the gathering of knowledge, the nudging of forces in the world, kind of along different paths. I mean, it's a very, very nuanced understanding of power. And Saruman departs from that. And he wants to go for, you know, the machines and the wheels and the gears and the things that are getting, you know, quickly able to dominate other people. So yeah, so it is a tried and true understanding, I think.
And you know, as we've been talking elves here, you know, we're working on it, and we want to hear feedback from you guys. Send us a email at editor@worldofatlas.com, or leave a comment here below in the comments box below here on YouTube.
How have you handled elves in your campaign?
How do you handle elves in your campaign? We're very interested in this subject, and we're going to be talking about it and proving it, and you'll be seeing a lot of things coming out from us at World of Atlas dealing with elves and their impact on the world. So I'm glad you joined us again for Good Guy Roadhouse, and I hope I'll see you for another episode very soon.
Yep, see you.